Good morning, students. Through this video, I'm connecting with you to teach a business study chapter, that is business services. Business services. To carry out the business, obviously the businessman they required some services for smooth running of their business activity. As in the previous chapter we have discussed a different form of that is our form of private and global enterprises, and even we have discussed some services in the first chapter that have been given by the commerce field service sector to carry out our business activity in a smooth way, in a well manner. So in this chapter, I am going to make you understand first that meaning of services. Service sector, it include that the basic infrastructure which is must for smooth flow, smooth running of business activities are to be considered as business services. Services that is to be given for carried out the business activities are banking, communication, transport, insurance, warehousing, etc. So these are the services it is to be provided by the service sector for the smooth running and a smooth flow of goods and services in the economy. To make you more understand, we should go through with the features of services. First, that is intangible. That the services, it means intangible means the things cannot be seen or touched, but it can be feel and experienced. Same as it is if I am talking about the services. Services are also not seen and touched. It can be experienced by the user of that services. Means after using only, he can examine the services that it is good or not. After using the services, he is able to find out the quality of services after experiencing it, after feeling it. So, supplier must always try to offer a good quality of services to their customer and always provide the services which is according to their demand after experience with it. That is clear. Next, that is lack of homogeneity. Yes, the services that have to be performed by different service holders, those who are provider, it will be provided according to the demand and expectation of customer. Even the same services that is to be provided differently by the different service provider. For example, you can take the example of insurance company. Some insurance company providing their policies differ, their services are differ. Suppose LIC, and the private companies services may be differ. One more example we will take, that is banking services, which is provided by nationalized bank. It will be quite different from the private bank or foreign bank. That is clear. So that's why it will be a lack of homogeneity in the service that is to be provided by the service holder, service provider. Next, that is inventory. Obviously, the main feature of services is that as the services are to be produced, the customer they have to consume at the same time as it is produced. As these are produced, as soon as customer is also consumed at the same time, because there is no need to maintain any stock of services. It's not a goods or it's not a physical thing. It cannot be kept as a stock, because if services is not consumed immediately, then obviously you have to incur loss. For example, a vacancy in that is cinema hall. So if you are not going to occupy it, as it is to be provided by the service sector, but if you are not going to occupy it at the same time during the validity of that ticket, you will lose your money. That is clear. Next, that is non-transferability. Non-transferability means it is not transfer. The services cannot be separated from the provider. Yes, means these services are to be produced and consumed at the same place only. For example, the services which is provided by lawyer, it is not separated from lawyer. The medical means the law facility, the law rules and regulation he is provided, it is to be consumed at the same time. Means it is not separated, it is to be provided by him only. So how can, suppose if he is you are appealing in court with the help of lawyer, the lawyer he is able to provide his services. Same as it is doctor, the medical services is provided by doctor only. That is clear. And doctor and his services are not separated. We cannot separate it. Okay, na? That is clear. Next, that is customer participation. Yes, to get the experience of the services, there is a need. It is essential, it is necessary for the people to participate in it, to participate. Customer participation is very necessary to experience the services. For example, suppose telephone companies, they provide a services, telephone services, but you people are not able to, if customer has not participating in it, not getting the services, obviously you people are not experiencing it. Suppose if you are not making call and if you are not receiving call, how will you get to know that? How will you get to know? Customer participation is very necessary to get the experience of these services. Some insurance companies, they are providing a different types of insurance facility, but you will get the experience after then you will get insured yourself with the some scheme which is to be given by your, that is, service provider. That is clear. Now I am going to make you understand the next topic, that is types of services. Then that it is to be categorized in three categories. Services are to be categorized in three categories. These are business services, social services, personal services. Business services are those services which is to be used for running or carried out the business activity more smoothly. The services which is to be used by these businessmen, that are banking, insurance, transportation, warehousing. So these services are to be utilized for carried out the business activity in a smooth way by the businessman. Clear? Next, social services. Social services, it is a voluntary to achieve a social goal. These services are provided to improve the standard living of weaker section of the society by providing health facility, basic health facility, education facilities, sanitation improving the sanitation facility in the slums area, and it is to be carried out by both the sector, private as well as public sector, and even NGOs are also participating to provide these services to the sector to conduct a social services. Clear? Next, that is personal services. These services, personal services, these are experienced differently by different customers. Obviously, it is according to the service provider and also depend upon the customer demand and its preference. For example, tourism, restaurant, these are the service provider, and what customer is expecting and what he is demanding, what restaurant he is going to preference, what tourism sector he is going, industry firm he is going to select for fulfilling his or experience its services, that is to be depend on customer wish. That is clear. And these services are differ from according to service provider. Clear? Now some various categories of business services are to be there, which is to be useful for businessman to carry out their business activity. So for that they are providing some various categories of business services in the following manner. So these are banking, insurance, postal and telecom services, warehousing services and transportation services. So one by one we are going to understand these services, and it will be make easier to understand that how these services will help out to carry out the business activity in a smooth manner. Clear? So I'm going to start with the first service, that is banking service. Before starting it, we get to know what is bank, what is before starting its services, what type of services it is to be provided by this type of business services. Then we have. So first of all, I am going to make you understand what is the purpose of bank. Bank, it is an institution which attract the deposit or which attract the money on deposit for the purpose of being lent, means for the purpose, the main purpose to attract the money from depositor on deposit for the purpose for lending or providing loan to the industry or to the trade or those who are needy of it. These bankers are not considered as money lenders. No, these institutions, they are lending what it borrow from others, what they are borrowing from others as a deposit. They are lending that money to the borrowers, those who are needy of it. In that we can say that bank, this institution is a buyer and seller of money, and it also earn a margin of profit by lending money which he had borrowed. Clear? According to Indian Banking Regulation Act, accepting deposit of money from the public for the purpose of lending or investment, that is to be considered as what? It is considered as bank. Clear? Now I am going to make you understand the account which should be help out to the general public, even to the customer, businessman, that is to be opened. So one by one we are going to understand the types of account. The first in that is saving deposit account. Under this account, a person can open this saving deposit account by depositing only a small sum of money or a small sum of amount. And whenever he required, whenever he needed, he can withdraw that money from his account. And for that he has to open one account, he has to fill the form, and with his all the relevant document he is going to submit into bank, and with the small sum of money he is going to open that account, and whenever he is needed he withdraw that amount from his account, and whenever he thought that he is having a small or surplus amount he is available, so he can deposit in his account. Bank issued a checkbook and passbook to their depositors, and all the transaction, what amount he is depositing and what amount he is withdrawing are recorded in that passbook. That is clear. In checkbook, he is to be issued for paying or making payment to another person. That is clear. And also to use for withdrawing money. On saving deposit account, the rate of interest is generally low than the fixed deposit account. Clear? Fixed deposit account, what is it that I am going to tell in the next type, in the next topic. Now the another account, that is current deposit account. Current deposit account, mostly it is to be opened by businessman. The account holder of that account can deposit and withdraw money whenever he wish, whenever he desired, and whenever he required, he is going to withdraw the money, and whenever he has surplus, he can deposit it. And this withdrawal can also made by check. And to the current account holder, overdrafting and credit limit facility is also available for this account holder. Overdrafting facility means, suppose you can withdraw. Overdrafting means you can withdraw the amount extend to your which is available in your account. For example, suppose button limit. Suppose you have 1 lakh in your account, but you have to make payment of 1,30,000. So bank, they are providing this facility to this account holder to deposit their money. So to withdraw the money for making their payment of 1,20,000, but up to some limit. Suppose the limit is 50, means up to 50,000 you can withdraw over the amount which is available in your account. So you can pay, yes, and on that amount, whatever you are withdrawing over the amount which is available in your account, you have to pay charge also. If I am talking about this account holder, no interest is to be paid to the current account holder. Even rather than they are charging some charge, they are charging some charges for rendering the services, that overdrafting and credit limit facility. That is clear. These account holder, they have to get send the account holder, means the statement of account is all sent to the account holder every week, even over fortnight, even month, for showing the transaction, how much transaction he has made during this period. Next, recurring deposit. Recurring deposit account holder, he can deposit a fixed amount, that is 100 rupees every month, for a fixed period of time. Suppose it is also considered as RD. Maybe you people hear this word, familiar with this word. Your parents are for making their saving, they are discussing to open the RD account, that is recurring deposit account. In that, the depositor can deposit a fixed amount for a in every month for a fixed period of time, and the amount together with interest, the amount which he has deposited together with interest, he will be, means the amount that is to be redeemed or repaid on its maturity. Suppose for a 5 year you have opened an RD account, and every month you are depositing 100 rupees. So after 5 year, when the deposit is going to be mature, you will get your amount plus interest on it for 5 years. That is clear. If I am talking about rate of interest, the rate of interest is more higher than the saving bank account. Next, that is fixed deposit account. Fixed deposit account, he is repayable after the expiry of its specified period. Means under this account, the account holder, the depositor, he can deposit his money for a specified period and he will be repayable, he will get that amount after a expiry of that specified period. Suppose the period may vary from 6 months to 5 years. Longer the period of depositor of the deposit amount, higher the rate of interest getted by the account holder. In that, you have to deposit a fixed amount. Means suppose a sum of 50,000 you have deposited this year, and for 6 year, 5 year, 10 year, for that period, okay? Or this period may be 6 months to 5 year, okay? And more than it. So for 5 years you have keep this deposit. So you will, after 5 years, whatever amount you will get it including with the interest. And if I talking about the interest of FD account, the FD account rate of interest is highest as comparison to the other accounts. Clear? Last, that is multiple option deposit account. In that, the account holder enjoy, or the banks offer a multiple option to the depositor to open their account. Means this account, it is the combination of two accounts, that is saving or current. In this, the account holder can enjoy the liquidity. It enjoy the account holder of both the account, that is liquidity of saving and current account, and also rate of interest of fixed deposit. When the amount of deposit exceed a particular limit, automatically the amount get transferred into FD. That is clear? So these are the types of account which is to be opened in bank. Some important services which is to be given by bank to their holder, bank holder, that I am going to make you understand, and these are first, that is bank draft. Bank draft, it is a check which is to be drawn by one bank against the fund which is to be deposited into its account at another bank, and it is authorizing the second bank to make payment to the individual whose name is written on the draft. It means it is a type of check. One person is making one draft from his bank, whatever the fund he want to deposit it to, against on the name of that person, he is going to make an suppose he is not able to, for making payment, he is utilizing this services, that is bank draft facility. In that, the one person, he is going to his bank for making a bank draft, and bank is making drawn a check against the fund which is to be deposited by the person into its account which is at another bank, ठीक है ना, in another bank account, and it also give authority to the second bank, to which bank on which the fund is deposited, to make payment to that person whose name is written on the draft. It is a financial instrument, and through it the money can be transferred from one person to another person account. That is clear? You can obtain this bank draft from your bank after depositing the required amount, and the bank also charge some amount, some commission for issuing this facility, for providing this facility. Next, that is banker's check. It is also considered as pay order. It is a type of document that instruct by its account holder to a bank that pay a certain amount which is to be specified on the check to that third party. Clear? Next, that is overdraft facility. Overdraft facility, in that under this, customer or the account holder, those who are having a current account, they allowed to withdraw the amount more than the balance, more than the amount which is available in their account. That is clear. Means he can overdraw up, but he can overdraw up to a specific limit. Not he is going to draw after according to his wish. It is up to its limit, and for that limit he is overdrawing that amount. Clear? That example I have given to you people. And for that the bank also charge some interest on the overdrawn amount which is to be drawn by the current account holder. Clear? Next, that is cash credit. If I am talking about cash credit under this arrangement, the borrower is allowed to withdraw up to a certain amount against some security. Means after keeping some security, shares, bond, for a short period of time, he can get some amount, he can borrow some amount from the bank or withdraw for his particular requirement, for fulfill his particular requirement. Clear? Next, that is short term, medium term or long term loan. Yes, it is a loan which is to be advanced, which is to be repayable on expiry of a specified period. It may be secured or unsecured. The loan may be paid back by the borrower in installment. Means whatever the amount he is borrowing from the bank, he can be paid. Means bank make installment, easy installment amount that he will pay after every month after a specific period of time, and it will be of 2 year, 3 year, that according to the demand or requirement of the person, those who are borrowing the money from bank. That is clear. Now I am going to make you understand the last topic of this services, that is types of digital payment. And we can say types of electronic functions of bank and types of e-banking. In that first is debit card. It is a facility which is to be offered to the account holder to make payment. Debit card, you know it very well. The saving bank account holder, those who have their saving account in the bank, for that bank is providing to make payment and to withdraw the money from ATM, automated teller machine. They're giving this facility to their account holder to make the payment which is available in their account. Generally, this card is to be utilized for what purpose? For the point of sale terminal. That is clear. Where this electronically transaction or tied to the bank computer, and whenever it is to be present by account holder or the person, customer, onto the sale terminal, automatically it will transfer the money from customer's bank account to the store account. That is clear. This facility can be used by the account holder for paying the bill by attracting their personal computers and automatically transfer the fund from customer account to the biller's account to whom we have to make payment. Next, that is credit card. Credit card, it is like a bank account without having balance. Means it able the card holder to have the overdraft facility, but up to some fixed limit for 50 by checking your that is credit score. They are providing this facility for overdrafting, but up to the fixed limit, and that fixed limit is to be increased according to their credit worthiness of the card holder. It is a substitute of cash. It is a plastic card which in which signature which is identity of the owner. It also include the name of issuing bank, which bank is issued, and that name is also issued, and the validity of that card. And you can make payment for overdrafting, means it will provide a overdrafting facility but up to some fixed limit. Clear? By checking your credit worthiness. Next, that is National Electronic Fund Transfer. Under this, fund is directly transferred from one account to another account. This help the customer, both the parties, from inconvenience of drawing check, deposit check, etc. With the help of National Electronic Fund Transfer, and one more, that is RTGS, that is real time gross settlement, that is to be utilized to make payment from one person to another person. If I am talking about this National Electronic Fund Transfer, means in that the facility is available for, there is no minimum balance for, means from 0 to 2 lakh you will make the payment from this National Electronic Fund or more. But if I am talking about and this NEFT facility is available in approx 75,000 branch of banks. Clear? Next, that is RTGS. It is real time gross settlement. This facility is to be used to transfer the fund from one person account to another person account. In that, it means in this system, transfer of money or securities take place from one bank to another account on a real time and on a cross basis. Means settlement in real time means payment transaction is not subjected to any waiting period. Once the transactions are settled, as the instruction has to be given, the transaction has to take place, as soon as possible it is proceed from one account to another account. That is clear? In that, the minimum amount should be transferred from one account to another accounts, that is minimum 2 lakh, maximum you can according to your wish. ठीक है ना? The payment is taken as final and it is not irrevocable. That is clear? Yes, the RTGS fees is differ from bank to bank, and this fixed fees limit is to be decided by, as fixed by RBI. Clear? Next, that is ATM, that is automated teller machine. It make available for the person to making payment and also accepting deposited. That's why it is also known as teller. This automated teller machine, it provide the facility and to the carried out their work for 24/7. That is clear? To use this machine, you should insert your debit card, plastic card in that machine, and by asking the machine, you have to enter your identification code, that is password, and if the code is matched with your according to that machine, then that machine is responding, is asking for withdrawing your cash and is able to taking your deposit. Clear? Next, that is digital cash. Yes, that is the new concept of online payment. E-cash, it is used with the help of internet, email or personal computer or on mobile. The work of digital cash is similar to the electronic fund transfer. Means like, for example, Google Play, Bheem app, Paytm, PhonePe. These are the example of digital cash that will make people providing their services to make their transaction easier. Clear? Yes. Now the next topic, that is insurance services. Insurance, it is a contract between the insurer and insured, in which insurer, he agreed to make compensation on the goods which is to be lost by the insured on any mishappening of an event, in consideration of regular payment against it. The insurer, he make a regular payment, that is called premium. The whole agreement is to be considered as insurance. Insurance, in that it is a policy, it is a contract, it is an agreement between two persons, insurance company and those who are taking insurance policy, in which the insurance company, he agreed to compensate the amount for which the loss, for that loss which is to be suffered by insured person on any happening of an event, and against it, for getting that compensation, the insured person, those who have taken insurance policy, they must pay a regular payment, that is called premium. Clear? In that, I am going to understand who is insurer and who is insured. Insurer, he is the individual or any firm that we can consider as an insurance company that agreed to compensate the loss which is incurred by insured. Insured, he is the individual or any firm who get that compensation, and for getting that compensation, insured have to pay a regular amount of premium. Here one word is that happening of an event. One thing, sentence is there, happening of an event. That means the subject matter on which you have taken the insurance policy, or you can say the kind of loss that consider under this policy for which you have taken. For example, fire insurance policy you have taken. So if you will get the compensation only when the good is damaged due to fire. That is clear. Premium. It is an amount which is to be paid by the insured person for quarterly, half-yearly or annually for getting the compensation at the time of loss, whenever he will face loss. Clear? So this is the insurance policy and insurance. Now I am going to explain the principles of insurance. Some principles. Principle means, in Hindi we can say, that is a rules on which this policy is to be based. So I am going to explain this principle of insurance and some basic principles that I am going to explain. And that first one is principle of utmost good faith. First, principle of utmost good faith. According to this principle, the it is the insurance of contract that is based on faith. In that, insurer and insured, they must disclose all the fact to each other, all material fact to each other, and both the parties cannot hide anything, should not hide any fact which is related to that insurance policy. And if insured hide any fact from the insurance company and later the company will get to know about that fact, the insurance company, they deny to pay the compensation regarding that loss. For example, suppose if a person have taken a life insurance policy and he is suffering from the disease, by that he will be die after 2 or 3 months, and he has hidden the fact related to it while that he has taken policy. Suppose the person is suffering he is a heart patient and he has hidden and he has taken a life insurance policy, and if he die due to heart attack, and company, they will get to know about that fact fact, the company, they will deny, they will refuse to pay the compensation. One more example I am giving. Suppose a company owner have taken a fire insurance policy, and he has hide a fact that from government, from electric board, he has get a warning letter to change the wiring of his factory, but he has hide it. So, and fire, it will be catched through this short circuit. So because of that, if the company will get to know that fact, they will refuse to pay that compensation. Clear? So that's why, according to this principle, every fact must be disclosed to each other, both the parties. Clear? Next, that is principle of insurable interest. Principle of insurable interest. According to this principle, the insured must have an interest in the subject matter of insurance policy. Means, according to the insured person, he must have an interest in the subject matter for which he has taken policy. Without interest, this insurance is considered as gamble and fraud activity, and law doesn't permit to that type of fraud activity. For example, a person can take a life insurance policy for his spouse, for his wife, or for his or her children. He cannot take insurance policy for any stranger. So that its mean, according to the means, the interest must be related to the subject matter of the insurance policy. Without it, you cannot take insurance policy for any stranger. Clear? But in case of fire insurance, the insured suffer a financial loss, and if the subject matter is damaged to provide the interest, or he must be owner of that subject matter, then he is able to get the compensation. I am giving the example. For example, if person has a taken loan against the security of factory premises, then the lender can take a fire insurance policy of that factory without being the owner of that factory. Without acting as a owner of that factory, he has taken, the lender who is lending the amount, he can take the fire insurance policy of that factory because he has the financial interest in the factory premises. Because suppose if factory is, if there will be any mishappening occurred in the factory and any accident, so how he will recover his amount? So in case if he has given lending a amount to the loan, if person has taken loan against the security of, the lender can take the fire insurance policy to get the compensation if any loss will be occur. Clear? Next, that is principle of indemnity. Principle of indemnity. According to this principle, insurance, it is not, according to this principle, it insists that the insurance is not a contract of making profit. The purpose of insurance is what? Is to bring back the person in the same financial position where he was before that loss, before occurring that loss at that position only is bring back, only insurance company bring back to insured person. It is not for making profit. I will make you understand clearly by giving an example. For example, a person who insured his factory for rupees 2 lakh against fire insurance policy, against fire, and due to fire he suffered a loss of rupees 1 lakh only. then the insurance company will compensate him rupees 1 lakh only, not the policy amount, that is 2 lakh. Because what is the purpose of insurance company? Only to bring back the insured to that position where he was before this occurring this loss. He is not expecting that company will compensate a full policy amount to him. No. How much loss he is bearing, only that much amount will be compensated by the insurance company, because the purpose of company is to compensate loss, not for earning profit. Otherwise the people it become, this insurance become a business for persons. The people taking fire insurance policy, marine insurance policy, health insurance policy, and they are asking for the whole amount policy. So they are going to earn profit. So it become business, but it is not the purpose of insurance company. The purpose of insurance company to compensate loss only, not to earn profit. That is clear. And principle of indemnity, if I am talking about principle of indemnity, that is not applicable on life insurance policy. That make it I am clear. Suppose person die, he will get the whole policy amount before for what he has taken the policy. Clear? Next, that is principle of contribution. Principle of contribution, it is corollary, means extension of principle of indemnity. According to this principle, if person has taken more than one policy, more than one insurance policy for the same subject, for the same assets, for the same product, for the same thing, then the insurance company will contribute the amount of loss and compensate the insured person for the actual amount of loss. Means separately he cannot claim the total loss from each insurance. The insurance company, they contribute the total loss in some proportion amount which is assured by each. For example, a person, he get his business insured, factory premises insured from the insurance company for 5 lakh rupees, and for 5 lakh rupees from one company, that is suppose A company, and from B company 2 lakh rupees, he has get the insurance policy of 2 lakh rupees, and he has suffered a 1 lakh loss. So this 1 lakh he is not going to compensate, he is not going to claim from each company. No. In that, A company is liable to his proportion of compensation and B is liable to its proportion of compensation. And how it will be calculated? One formula is to that sum assured with a particular insurance. Suppose A company has taken a policy of, that is 5 lakh. Clear? Formula is that what is for sum assured with a particular insurer multiply with actual loss amount divided by total sum insured, which is taken from both the party. Suppose 5 lakh from this upon 5 lakh into actual loss, that is 1 lakh upon 7 lakh. Clear? From A, and from B, how much? 2 lakh into 1 lakh upon 7 lakh. So whatever the amount will become, whatever the amount will become, that is to be compensated by A and that is compensated by, clear? Suppose approx it is Grameen point. I will change the value, so we will get 3 lakh, 2 lakh, and this is 5 lakh. Okay, now we are able to get the value. 0 will cut 0. 40,000 B will compensate and 60,000 A will compensate. He is not claiming a total loss of amount from each company. No, 1 lakh from this, 1 lakh. No, 60,000 contributed by A company and 40,000 will be contributed by B company. That is clear. Next, that is principle of subrogation. Next principle, that is principle of subrogation. According to this principle, after paying the compensation, the insurer step into the shoes of the insured. In simple words, when the insured is compensated for the loss or damage to the property insured by her or him, the right of ownership is going to be shifted from insured to insurer. Insurer means insured to that person, those who have taken insurance policy, to insurance company. Because as I have told you, this insurance agreement, it is not for making profit. So because of that, once the compensation is given, and suppose later after getting the compensation, the insured, he will realize some money after selling the product which is damaged as less amount. He will obviously bring profit. He will get profit for insured, and insurance, it is not a contract of making profit. It will only to compensate for loss. For example, one shoe company is there, and the company have taken a fire insurance policy, and they have suffered a loss of rupees 1 lakh. They have suffered a loss of rupees 1 lakh. So for that loss, he will get the compensation for the same. And after that, whatever the burnt goods are there, burnt shoes are there, if they will sold it for rupees 10,000, then they will able to earn profit. So no, that should not be acceptable. Whatever the goods are to be left over there, after compensating the amount to the insured, the insurance company take over all the goods, either it is partially or wholly destroyed. They will take over all the goods and take it itself. So the insured person, he will not able to sell it at a less price and get able to earn profit. Clear? Next, that is principle of causa proxima. Principle of causa proxima. According to this principle, it insists that there is a reason for the loss. Whatever the reason it must be related to the subject matter. It must be related to the subject matter of the insurance policy. Suppose if loss to be occurred due to some other causes, then insurance company will not, and they can deny to pay the compensation. For example, I am giving the example to you. Suppose a person has taken a marine insurance policy for sending rice bags, and on the way, if rat is spoiled in the boat, rats are there, and the rice will be spoiled by the due to rat, as rat have spoiled the rice, then no compensation will be given by the insurance company. But because under that marine insurance, if the loss is to be occurred due to water, sea perils, then they are able to claim the or get the compensation. But if it is due to some other cause, they will not get any compensation. On the other hand, suppose if these rats, they make hole on that ship or boat, and now due to the water enter in the ship and it will destroy the rice, the product. Now they will get the compensation because the loss is to be occurred due to the product, means rice is spoiled due to seawater. Clear? Next that I am going to make you understand, that is last principle of mitigation of loss. Yes, according to this principle, the insured, he must take care of his property for which he has taken the insurance policy in the same way when he was not taking insurance policy against it. Earlier he hasn't taken insurance policy, so obviously if any loss will be occur, he put his best efforts to save his property, to take care of his property. But it is not the way that after taking policy, if insured, he become careless about his property, then also he will not get any compensation regarding it. Means the insurer should not become careless of his property after taking an insurance policy. For example, if he has taken a fire insurance policy for his house and the fire will be, because of short circuit, there will be a loss due to fire. So he should not put any efforts to stop to take care of his property. No, he should take all the measures, he should take all the initiative to stop that fire and minimize the loss rather than watching the fire, because he know he will get the compensation for that loss. No, for that he will not get any compensation. Clear? Next I am going to make you understand, these are the principles that I have told you, that I have taught you, and if you have any confusion, you will go through the video, you will clear it. Clear? Next I am going to explain the topic, that is insurance and assurance. What is the difference between insurance and assurance? Generally these two terms are considered the same meaning, but these two are synonyms of each other. They have a different meaning. These words have different meaning. Assurance means it is a contract in which the sum which is assured, that is bound to be paid sooner or later. But in case of insurance, the sum which is assured is paid only when insured suffer that loss for which he has taken a insurance policy. Means in assurance, the amount for the insurance you have taken in assurance, you will get the compensation either sooner or later. But in case of assurance, if you will face any loss, if you will suffer any loss for that particular subject matter, then you are only able to get the compensation. I will make you understand by giving one example. That is, for example, in case of fire insurance, the compensation, it is to be given by insurance company to insured only when he suffer the loss due to fire, because of fire. But the contract of life insurance, it is a contract of not insurance, it is a contract of assurance, because in this the insurer is bound to pay the amount to the compensate the amount to the insured either at the death of insured or an expiry of its time period, whichever is earlier. That is clear? Whichever comes earlier, for that he should compensate for it. So the term insurance is used only when there is or uncertainty may occur, then only they will compensate. But in assurance, there is a surety that the person will get the compensation either at the time of death or the expiry of that policy, whichever is earlier, they will get the compensation. There is a guarantee to get this compensation. Clear? Now I am going to tell you the next topic, that is types of insurance. There are 4 types of insurance. These are life insurance, fire insurance, marine insurance and health insurance. So one by one we are going to understand this topic. So first of all, I am going to make you understand that is life insurance. Life insurance, this insurance is related with the 2 types of risk. One, that is risk of dying too early. Risk of dying too early, or second, risk of dying too late. Okay, before it I am going to make you understand. Generally the people, they are taking a life insurance policy when they have a fear of dying too early. Then to provide to help financially, provide a financial support to their family, they take life insurance policy. Sometimes people, they take the life insurance policy to get the financial support at during their old age, when they don't have any source of income. So when people think of living too late, then also they get some financial support during old age with this policy, when they have taken this policy. In life insurance, you know it very well, the sum is assured. That is, either it is to be compensated, it is to be paid at the time of death or on the maturity period of that policy. Whichever comes earlier, you will get your compensation. Suppose if a person die early, then the compensation amount will be given to his family. And if person survive then he will get the compensation policy amount for financial support, so he can also able to enjoy the life, the economic independence at the time of his old age. Clear? In life insurance, the insured person, they has to pay a fixed amount that is called premium, and in return he will get the compensation which period is come earlier, either death of person or maturity of policy. Clear? Yes, for fixing the premium, the insurance company, they focus on the data which is available for death and illness, but it is very difficult for the insurance company to predict when person will die. So insurance company, they focus on the statistical data for fixing the premium amount. Average death rate or average illness rate, on the basis of that the company have decided the premium amount and for how much period. And in that, the premium should be paid by the insured monthly, quarterly, half yearly or annually. ठीक है ना? And whenever if the person will die or the maturity of life insurance policy, whichever is come earlier, they will get the amount. Now I am talking about the types of life insurance policy. So these are 2 types: whole life assurance policy and endowment life assurance policy. Whole life assurance policy, under this, the insured, those who have taken insurance, he has to pay a sum on the death of the, the sum is paid only on the death of the insured. Under this policy, the compensation will be paid only at the time of death of the insured person. It means this policy is to run for the whole life of assured. In life insurance, insured is called assured, and the premium on this policy, that is to be paid for a fixed period of time, that is for 20 year or 30 year. But the sum which is assured, which is paid to the beneficiary only at the time of death, not on the maturity. And if premium is also paid for the whole life, then it is called what type of policy? Whole life policy. Clear? 20 year, 30 year. So for that you have to pay a premium and you will get the compensation at the time of death. Clear? Next, endowment life assurance policy. Under this policy, the insurer, it pay a particular sum at the death of person or a particular age or an expiry of or a maturity of life insurance company, whichever come earlier. In case of death, the compensation is paid to a legal heir, means through the nominee of the person. Those who have taken insurance policy, he has nominated one person that after his death, the amount should be compensated to be paid to that person that is related to him. And in case when he is surviving, the assured amount will be get by the insured person himself. Apart from these two kinds of life assurance policy, some various kind of life policy are also which is offered by the LIC company. These are Jeevan Mitra, Money Back Policy, Bima Sandesh, Jeevan Kishore, Jeevan Sati, Jeevan Survi. These are some example of some more life assurance policy which insured can take. Clear? Yes. Now the next topic, that is fire insurance. Fire insurance, it is a contract under which insurer is agreed to compensate in return for premium that he is getting from the insurer for the loss that is occurred due to fire during a specific period of time is considered as fire insurance. Suppose because of that is catching fire in the warehouse, because of short circuit, whatever the loss it is to be faced by the insurer will compensate against that loss. Clear? Now I am going to make you understand that is types of fire insurance. Fire insurance, these are three types: specific, double insurance and reinsurance. A specific policy, under this policy, insurer he agreed to compensate the loss which is occurred, due to fire to the property to insured up to that amount which is specified in the agreement or which is specified in the policy. That amount should be given to the insured person at the time of loss. Next, in double insurance. Double insurance is the insurance on the same property if the insured, he has taken more than one policy to cover the same risk, then it is to be considered as double insurance. In that, as a person is free to take number of fire policy for the same property, but he cannot recover the amount which is more than the loss amount that we have discussed in the principle of contribution, that the amount should be paid to the insured only the loss which he has suffered, and all the insurer, they will be liable to pay only that proportion of loss which is suffered by the insured. That is clear to everyone. Next, that is reinsurance. Under the reinsurance policy, the insurer, he enter into the contract of insurer with another insurer for the whole or a part of risk which is covered by the first insurer. Sometimes the insurer, he feel that the property which he has insured, that covered too high amount, means that property covered too much amount of risk. So after entering into the contract, the insurance company may enter into the another contract with another insurance company, that is to be considered as reinsurance. For example, if X company have insured A and he is thinking that, he is realizing that the amount is too high, then X company is going to may enter into the or agree to contract with Y insurance company to compensate the whole amount or even some amount. And there is no link between the Y insurance company and A, the insured person. That is clear. Whenever the loss take place, the X insurance company will get the compensation from Y and pay it to A person. Clear? Next, I am going to make you understand, that is marine insurance. Marine insurance is the insurance in which, under this, it is a contract under which insurer, in return for premium, agreed to compensate against the marine loss to insured person. That is considered as marine insurance. The losses occur due to sea, storm, collision, capture, seizure, sinking of ship. For that, the risk is arising, and for that, marine insurance has been taken by the that is insured person. Clear? Now I am going to make you understand types of marine insurance. Types of marine insurance, if I am talking about it, these are of three types. Cargo. And in cargo insurance, it is a type of marine insurance. It includes the cargo, or you may say the goods that is to be contained, that is to be placed in the ship, and the personal belonging of the crew and passengers are to be covered under the cargo insurance. Clear? Next, that is hull insurance. Under this insurance policy, the whole ship is insured, means it covers the insurance of vessel, the ship, its equipments, that is furniture, fitting, tools, machinery, fuel, engine, store, it's anything that is come under the vessel, that is to be covered under the hull insurance. Generally, the owner of the ship, he has taken this policy. Next, that is freight insurance. Freight means the expenses that is to be borne by the insured person for migrating the goods. So in that insurance, it protect the loss against the loss of freight. In many cases, owner of the goods pay the freight only when goods are to be there. Okay? Clear? So freight insurance to be considered by the owner has to be taken by the owner of the ship for protecting himself against the loss of freight. Clear? Next, I am going to tell you that is health insurance. Health insurance, it provides for making payment for bearing the medical expenses in case of illness of the insured person and his family. What type of, means suppose you are hospitalizing and whatever the expenses you have bared, so if you have taken this health insurance policy, so that all the expenses may be covered in the health insurance policy, and they are paying all the medical expenses when you will become ill. Clear? What type of coverage risk are to be covered in the health insurance, that I am going to make you understand. First is basic medical expenses. Basic medical expenses. It cover the cost. It cover the cost for hospitalization and the service which is to be provided by the doctor. And the basic medical expenses, the hospital expenses means the bed charges, the room charges, and the services which is to be provided by the doctor, and whatever the charge is charging for that, he is asking for the same. That should be covered under the basic medical expenses. Next, that is major medical expenses. The cost of sudden disaster. Suppose accident will be happen, any disaster will be happen for the person, so that should be covered under the major medical expenses. Next, that is long-term hospitalization. It covers the charges. Suppose you are nursing a home for elder people. If you are hiring a nurse for elder people, and for that person you are taking a health insurance policy that is cover the long-term hospitalization process. So for that coverage are to be make sure you to make the payment for this, for bearing this expenses. Clear? Next, that is medical supplement. Medical supplement, it cover the gap in Medicare program of Social Security. It fill the gap in Medicare programs of Social Security. Next, that is disability income. Suppose the person is unable to work because of accident. His hand is not working, or hands are not working. He is not able to walk. He is not able to work. So at that condition, this facility is to be provided by the insurance company to cover the risk, the replace the income which is lost by the insured while the insured is unable to work. So at that period, till he is not able to conduct the work or carry out the work, that period this insurance company is going to pay for this disability. Clear? Now the next topic, that is communication services. What is communication services? Communication services, it means in that the idea, the view, exchange of idea, views, message from between two person or more than two person are to be considered as communication services. Under communication services, what is to be there in that the people, they are exchanging their ideas with each other, their views with each other, with message with each other. Then it is to be considered when we are communicating with number of people or two or more than two people person, then it is to be considered as which type of services? Communication services. These are two types. With the help of tools which we are able to communicate to each other, that is postal services and telecom services. Postal services and telecom services. Under postal services, the government, it is to be work at under the control of government at national and international level for providing the postal facility to the people. Clear? Some features are there which is to be there for postal services. That all the postal services of the country are to be under the control of government. Means government is to be control all the activities of the postal services. Clear? Next, these departments provide the services not only national level but also international level. Means the department are providing their services at national and international level. Clear? These are highly reliable. The services which is to be given by post offices through postal services, these are highly reliable. Next, even these services also have started to compete with the courier services. They have started service that is to be considered as speed post service to compete with the whom? To compete with courier services, private courier services. The government have taken this initiative to start the speed post, so they are able to compete with the private companies, private courier services. Clear? Now I am going to make you understand some drawbacks are also there of postal services, like slow in speed, many rules and regulation, delay in action also. There is a complex procedure, we can say bureaucratic in nature. So due to this slow speed and bureaucratic nature, especially the businessmen, they focus on which they are adopting or which services they are adopting. Postal services, that is called private postal services, that is to be considered as courier services. As these courier services, they provide a desk to desk service to the service holder, and they also pick up the parcel from office of the sender and also deliver it to the office of the receiver. Clear? But after that, postal services, government postal services are also beneficial. Many facilities is to be given by government postal services, and these are some facilities which are, that is for communicating to each other, for transmission of their articles from one place to another, or for transmitting of messages, views from one place to another, from one person to another person. So what type of facility, and some financial facility should be also given, like saving bank account, then saving account, Kisan PPF account, Kisan Vikas Patra, NSC, so time deposit account. That type of money order facility should also be given. That I am going to make you understand one by one. So first of all, I am going to make you understand the mail services which is to be offered by the post office, So in that, so first of all, I am going to make you understand, that is the first one, that is under postal certificate. Under postal certificate, under this, in this service, it was very old services, and nowadays it is used rarely. Whereas this service was frequently used before courier services, parcel services, this under postal certificate is to be used. In that, the sender will deliver the parcel or letter with simple post, or we can say ordinary post, to the specified counter of post office. And the nominal cost, the cost that he has to bear, that is 1 rupees for 3 envelope, and have a proof of posted letter, that he has a proof that he has sent these things. Clear? Next, that is registered post. Yes, in that, under this facility, the sender, first of all, he affixes postal stamps on the envelope which he want to send to the person, and deliver at the encounter of post office, and after deliver it, he obtain a receipt from the postal authority, and it will deliver to the parcel to addresses only. Whereas letter sent under UPC under postal certificate may reach addresses or may not. Under UPC under postal certificate, it is not confirmed that it will reach to the addresses or not. But under registered post, it is it makes sure that it should be delivered to the addresses only. Clear? Next, that is parcel post. Under this, what type of services that is to be provided for sending the parcel through post across the country or even outside of the country. It is very economical way for sending the post or parcel from one place to the another place. Clear? Next, that is speed post. It is very, this service is very as fast as possible is to be reached to the person to whom we want to send this post or this parcel. Suppose if this post office provide time bound delivery of mail, letter and other documents, means within 3 days, 4 days it is to be delivered to the addresses only. Clear? The charges of post office is more than the other the charges of speed post is more than the other mail services. Clear? Okay. Some other financial facilities, services are also provided by the post offices, and along with the mail services, these services are also provided to the customer, and these are first recurring deposit. Recurring deposit, in that post office it open the RD account, that is recurring deposit account, like bank that we have discussed in banking services also. In this account, same process is there, that fixed amount is deposited every month or every day or even every week for a fixed period of time, 5 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year. Okay, na? And whatever the amount that is saved, and it is to be repaid at the time of maturity along with the interest. The interest which is given to the account holder of recurring deposit is more than the saving bank account holder. Clear? Next, that is National Savings Certificate, NSC. Under this services, under this policy scheme, a fixed amount of money, it is to be deposited for a fixed period of time, and amount with interest is paid after 6 years. It means you will get the amount which you have paid on the NSC, which you have deposited on NSC for a fixed period of time. You will get the amount after 6 years, and the rate of interest which is given on this, that is more than the FD, fixed deposit account also. So the depositors in that they can get the exemptions in income tax also under 80C. That is why this scheme is very popular scheme for post office among tax services. Clear? Next, that I am going to make you understand, that is Kisan Vikas Patra. Kisan Vikas Patra. It is also like NSC, and the amount can also be deposited for a fixed period of time under this also. It will also be exempted under section 80C, and you will be exempted from income tax also. Clear? Last, that is Public Provident Fund. What is Public Provident Fund? In this post office, it allows the facility to open a PPF account, that is called Public Provident Fund account. In this account, the account holder, they can deposit their amount anytime in their financial year, that is from 1st April to 31st March. But the amount which he has deposited, it can be withdrawn only after 15 years. This account is open to grant a kind of pension benefit to the account holder. Maximum of 1.5 lakh can be deposited. Maximum amount, that is 1.5 lakh, can be deposited in PPF account in one financial year. And it is also exempted under the income tax section 80C, means you will be exempted from the income tax by including that paper of provident fund. Clear? So these are some facility, mail services and financial services which is offered by the post offices. Now I am going to discuss the another communication facility, that is telecom services. Telecom services, that is the backbone of every business activity. Without telecom services, none of the business activity run smoothly and remain as a dream only if they are without this telecommunication facility. Clear? There is lot of development in the coverage of telecom IT sector and media industry. Even Government of India has developed telecom policy framework in 1999 and also broadband policy in 2004 to realize that dream and also change their vision and becoming a IT superpower in the coming year 2025. The various facility that is to be provided by the telecom services that I am going to explain one by one. First, that is cellular mobile services. Cellular mobile services, it means that include all the mobile telecom services that include voice, non-voice messages, even data services, PCO, etc. Means it connect the people with each other and they can provide a interconnectivity with any other type of telecom service provider. With the help of mobile phone, with the help of mobile phone, you are able to communicate with the voice message, with the non-voice message, data services, PCO services, etc. And they also provide the interconnectivity with any other types of telecom services provider. Clear? That you know it very well. Next, that is radio pegging services. Radio pegging services, it means that is what? That is an affordable that can be afforded by everyone. That is an affordable means of communication. In that, the information can be transmitted to persons even when they are not having any mobile phone. It is a way of information of broadcasting solution. This radio pegging services are available including tone only, numeric only, and alpha and numeric pegging only. Means that's 92.FM, 9.2 FM, 92.7 FM. That you are listening these type of things in your daily life. So radio, that is also a part, and it is also required and it is also used to transmit the information to each and every person even when they are not having mobile. Clear? And it is also available when they are when mobiles are also there. That facility is also given in the mobile phones and cellular mobile phones also, and it is the way for broadcasting of information. Clear? Next, that is fixed line services. Fixed line services, these are connected through fiber optic cables which is across the land of the country. It provides the interconnectivity with other types of telecom services also. Means with the help of that, the PNT, it is the example of fixed line services. With the help of this, you are able to get the things and able to communicate with each other, and in that through cable, and it is laid across the country's land and provide the connectivity with other types of telecom services also. Last, that is DTH services. DTH services, that is direct to home. It is a direct satellite based media services that provided by cellular companies. Or for receiving these services, one, he needs a small dish antenna and a set-top box. That nowadays it is going, that is DTH, Dish TV, Tata Sky, Airtel. Many are there which are providing this DTH, direct to home services. It is a direct satellite based service which is to be provided by cellular company. These services by DTH to the service provider, and it consists of multiple channels that you are seeing at your home. These channels can be viewed not on radio but on television without being dependent on cable network. That was earlier it was going cable, nowadays also, but it is providing a direct home facility. And in that, what you require the one DTH antenna, a small dish antenna, and a set-top box and television. Then you are able to watch multiple channels with the help of that antenna and that box only. Clear? By recharging the amount. Clear? So these are the services which is to be provided by telecom, and some more are there, that is very smart aperture terminations, and cable services are also there which is to be provided by the telecom services for what? For communicating or for informing to the people of country. Clear? Some services are also there. These are warehousing services and transportation services that we have discussed in the first chapter also. That is classification of business activity in the commerce part. That we have discussed. Now, what type of facility, that you know it very well, but after that also I will make you understand. Warehousing means holding and preserving the goods from time of their production until their sale or use. In this establishment and maintenance and management of warehouse for storing the goods safely and freshly. This facility, it enables the businessman to produce the goods throughout the year and also sell them whenever it is demanded. Means the supply can be supplied the market whenever it is demanded, and rest of the period it can be kept safely and freshly in the warehouse facility. It create a gap between the production, as you know that there is a time gap between the production and consumption of goods. So this time utility is to be created by bridging this, by make a bridge between this for covering this time gap, that is of production and consumption. Next, that is transportation. Transportation, it includes a freight services which is together with the supporting and auxiliary services by all means of transport, that is railway, roadway, airway, seaway, waterway, for migrating the goods, for moving the goods from one place to the another place, and also into the international carriage of passengers. With the help of transportation, not only goods are moving, but passengers can also move from one place to the another place. As you have studied the advantage and disadvantage of different means of transportation in earlier classes, in your last classes that you have studied about the SST and all, the advantage and disadvantage of different means of transport, of railway and waterway, of airway, roadway, you have studied. These services provide, it's very important for the businessman. As you know, the goods are produced at one place, but it is to be demanded that the customer are scattered in each and every corner of the country. So speedy essence of any business or speedy supply of goods can be done with the help of this services that is to be considered as transportation, and it remove the hindrance of place and make the good available to the customer at their place from production place. Clear? The chapter finished.